Okay, so we'll continue with the unit 3 topics. Before that, I'd like to go through this one particular code. Okay, so this particular code is all about going through a particular login page of Orange HRM website, and it wait for some time for the page to load. It will find the username and provide admin as the username and provide password as admin123. Okay, and it will submit the page and it will give us the response as username and password entered successfully and login button clicked. This is the output. Okay, let's run this program. Let's see what happens. So the Edge browser will open the Orange HRM website, right? And then it will maximize the window. So you can see that it is written on the top, it is controlled by automated test software. Okay, so it opened username, provided admin and password by itself, and it opened the dashboard, and now it will close. Okay, and then now we can check the response. You can see that we got the response. Okay, so this is the code you can see here that we have executed. Okay, so you what I'm gonna talk about is, you see that everything about the page is written in one page. Okay, whether that is providing the username, providing the password, everything is executed in the same page, right? Now it is only for a login page. What if I had multiple pages, like login page, I have payment page, product page, so I can have multiple pages, and for all the pages I might have to write the same, or I have to repeat certain kind of code. Okay, this is where we need frameworks, because when we have a large applications to test it, we cannot write everything in one particular page. We can have multiple files. Okay, instead of having only one file, everything like this, I can have another file. I can have all the details about login page in one particular code, and then I can have another file where I can have details about payment page. So likewise, depending upon the number of pages we have in an application, I can have separate classes. Okay, and to do exactly in that way, instead of writing everything in one single page like this, okay, what we can have, we need a better framework. Okay, so where tester can enjoy executing the code, making changes in the code, things like that. For example, in future, if I want to change, if in the page the username field has changed, password name field, so how can I change it? So if I write everything in one page, it will be difficult, and that is where we're coming to talking about frameworks. Okay, so what is frameworks? Let's see about frameworks now. Let me open the page. So it is unit 3. Okay, where is unit 3? The PDF file. Control Shift T. Okay, so this is what the unit 3 topics we are talking about. TestNG framework. So what is TestNG framework? So TestNG framework is a powerful testing framework. Okay, it is used for advanced testing capabilities. Okay, we have JUnit for unit testing, and NUnit for .NET languages. So JUnit is exclusively for Java programs. TestNG supports annotation. Okay, so what annotation is like, have tagging. Parallel execution is possible. Data driven testing, that is, we can use Excel sheet to have details about multiple users, their password, we can store it, and from that particular Excel sheet we can execute or test our web application for multiple users. Detailed reporting is possible. Annotation, I hope you remember. Okay, so annotation based execution, parallel execution, data driven testing. Test grouping is possible. We can group multiple tests into smoke testing, regression testing. Okay, all that we will see here. Okay, detailed reporting is possible. Okay, TestNG automatically generate HTML report showing passed test, failed test, all that is possible. Okay, TestNG can also be integrated with Selenium, Maven, Jenkins. Okay, so Maven and Jenkins, these are all your continuous integration related tools. So that is about TestNG. We'll learn about this annotation, parallel execution in the next few examples. Okay, what are the key components of TestNG? Annotation. What is annotation? See, in a particular Java program, I can have multiple methods to test various part of the program. So we are not using main, unlike Java, plain Java, which we have learned, we are not using main method to tell the compiler to execute which method. Okay, instead we are telling the Selenium which method or which test has to be executed, what is the priority, which test method has to be executed first, then second. Okay, everything is with the help of annotation. So all the program which we have written, as you can see here, we're using methods here. Okay, instead of things like this, we'll be using multiple methods. So I can show you. So this is what one testng framework. You can see that multiple test message. So in this particular program, you can see we have imported annotation. This is a main class. I have two methods: public void test1, public void test2, another method. Okay, so this the first test will have the output as this is test1, another will return as this is test2. Okay, but how the Selenium knows this is a test method or not any other type of method? By using the annotation. So I'm using @test. So @test will tell the Selenium that this is a test method. @test will tell the Selenium that this is another test method. So Selenium knows that these two are methods that is related to testing. Okay, so we can prioritize the testing also. You can see login test I have prioritized as 1. Okay, so I've given annotation, also I've given priority as 1, and then I have how many tests in this particular program has. So it is this is main class priority test, and in that I have login test, dashboard test, logout test. 3 tests are there. I have given priority for login test as 1, dashboard priority as 2, and it has 3. Okay, so all 3, we have 3 test method, but then I have given the priority. So Selenium will give priority according to the numbers. We can enable or disable test case also possible. You can see for this particular method, test is enabled as true, so it will be executed, and for this particular test method it is enabled as false. So this is all a part of testng. Okay, and very important, before and after method. Before method means before we go to the test method, we have to run this particular code. So before method is all about that. Okay, so before we test any method, we will have to run this particular method. So before method. Okay, so we have our setup to start our Selenium browser written here. Okay, then after that we have test method. So before going to this particular method, Selenium will execute this one. Okay, and then test, and after method is the last step where we will close the browser. So you can see we are using annotation. This is what we have called as annotation. So annotations helps for the Selenium to understand which method has to be executed first. So for that program, this is the sequence of things that has happened: open browser, login, test, execute, and close browser. Okay, so test assertion. So in testng framework, we can use assertion also. Assertion is nothing, it is all about checking. It is like a if-else statement. So you can see that I have a method here. This is the name of the class, public class assertion example. This is a test method because there is annotation here. I have actual as 10, expected as 10. Simply 2 variables I have created to show how how assertion will work. So this is the syntax of assertion. Assertion equals actual and expected. So in actual we have 10, expected is 10. So because both the values are same, so this particular condition will return as true. Okay, so in the true block we have assertion passed. So that is how this particular assertion is used in testng framework. So testng framework has many things like this. Other ways, group test. We know that there are multiple type of tests: smoke test, unit testing, and regression testing. So we can group into certain. We can actually group it. So for example, you can see that this particular method is grouped under smoke testing. So I can have another method also in the same way. I can have another method also which is grouped under smoke test 2. Okay, so these both will be grouped under smoke test. So then I can have another group for regression. So you can see grouping is also possible. So when we have lot of methods, okay, we use assertion, okay, and then things like groups, priority, to tell the Selenium certain things. So this is what about testng framework. Okay, this file I think I have shared in the group, so you can take examples from here. Okay, I'll close this file. and this is also not required now. Let's go to our nodes. So in nodes, what are the components of test? And the annotations. So annotations we have seen already: before suit, before class, before method, at test, at after method. So these all we will use it. So you can see the explanation is given. Okay, when all of this annotation has to be used. Okay, for test we have to use for actual test case, and after method we use at the end, and before we start take the test condition to run, we use before method. And these are all before class, before so that we use in our XML files. We'll talk about XML files later. So just to tell you, XML files are used to write the code in which we'll give instruction to the Selenium to how to run the code file. That is the code that we have written in Java file, how to execute that. So XML files is it is like the main configuration file. So that is what text-ng XML configuration file. So you can see in the configuration file what we write, we will write code like this. Okay, about the test name, what is the name of the test, okay, which class. So in our Java code we will have classes, right, name of the classes. So we'll mention the name of the class in the XML file. So the Selenium will look into this particular login test inside the Java code. So this is actually written in an XML file. Okay, the Selenium is actually looking into this XML file. So that is why there is before suit, okay, which we are using in an XML file. This code is not written in the Java file, but instead it is written in an XML configuration file, which is a separate file. Okay, assertion we already seen the example. We just have seen the example in that Word file. Same thing, assertion is there. What is data provider? Data provider means, see, we cannot one by one tell Selenium that this user 1 has username and password, user 2 has this username and password, user 3 has username and password. Instead we can pass a Excel sheet. Okay, so you can see data provider name is equal to login data. What is login data? It is the name of a Excel sheet. Okay, so this Excel sheet is stored inside our Project Explorer. So the Selenium will refer to this login data Excel sheet, and from that it will take the username and password into these two-dimensional arrays, and once the data comes, it will pass username and password to the individual users, and Selenium will take the individual username and password and test it. Okay, that is how we are using Excel sheet to retrieve the username and password in each rows. Okay, that data is coming in two-dimensional array. So in in first place we'll have username, and the other will have password. So that is what. So improve usability and coverage of the test cases. So when we have large test cases like this, especially about many users, many passwords, we can use Excel sheet instead of writing everything individually in the our Java file. We can use Excel sheet. These are all external files, okay, that we're talking about. Test methods. Okay, yes, we use at test to define our test methods. Okay, Selenium will recognize this method as test case. So that is what test method. So contains actual automation logic. Groups and priorities, we have just seen example for, okay, this is how we write, right? Just we have seen it. So all that testing, we can group it. We can have priorities also, right? So priorities. So that is same example. So run only smoke. Why we use grouping? So if you want to run only the smoke test, then all the methods related to smoke test will be running. All the methods related to regression test will be running. Okay. So the power has went here. Parameters. Okay, now it came. Parameterization. Okay, parameterization also we have seen. So parameterization means, see, we have basically parameterization means, you have to understand this. See, we have a username as admin. Okay, so this username admin, it could be admin, user 1, user 2, multiple values is possible, right? So instead of writing everything in the same code file, we can let this data pass from external file. So you send the value from outside the test. So for example, see, today I can have admin. Tomorrow this admin can be renamed as user 1. So in that particular case, if you want to correct this, okay, we don't have to change anything in the code. So we use what? We use an XML files so that we can externally pass. Okay, so username externally I'm passing. So I just have to correct in my XML file. Okay, so if I correct my username detail in my XML file, automatically tomorrow when I'm running the Selenium code, okay, I'll have the correct username, relevant username coming. So let's see with the help of an example. You see this example, this is an XML file. In this XML file, I have a parameter username, and for that particular parameter username, I have value as admin. Okay, so whenever I run this test class, okay, this parameter will be passed. Okay, so you can see that inside our Java code, see this is our Java code, where we have a method called test. String user is there, okay, and so string user is there. And you can see that inside the string user, how I'm passing parameter. So I'm passing a parameter username, and this username is coming from where? It is coming from our XML file, and in the XML file for the username parameter we have value admin. So automatically in our Java code we'll get admin here. Okay, so that is what parameters. So in short, we can say take the value called username and store it in the user. Okay, so we can avoid hard coding, reusable test case. So this is what parameterization. We'll write the parameter information in an XML file, and from there we'll pass to our Java code. So these kind of convenience is possible in using our test engine. You can see all our annotations at the rate test at the rate parameters. Next is parallel test execution. So using test ng we can do parallel test execution. So normally we can, how do we execute? We execute test one after another, right? But with test ng framework we can test multiple tests together at the same time. So you can have this example. You can see without parallel testing, if we have 3 tests, if each of this test takes 5 seconds to complete it, it will take total 15 seconds. But with parallel execution, okay, all of the tests will be running together, and we can actually save 5 seconds. In 5 seconds we can finish all instead of 15 seconds. So that's why it is faster. Okay, so parallel test execution is possible in your test ng framework. Okay, this is an example of example code for parallel execution. You can see the suite name is suite parallel test. Okay, test thread count 2. Thread count 2 means at a time 2 tests will be running. Okay, so parallel is equal to test. Tell test ng run multiple tests simultaneously. Okay, so this is what how we are telling the test ng to run multiple test methods together. Thread count 2 means two tests will be running together. Okay, run 2 tests at the same time. So for example, if you have 4 tests, first 2 will run and then another 2 will be running. Okay, more detail if you want to see, you can see if you have 3 tests, test A, test B, test C. If thread count is given as 2 in the XML file, so first A and B will be running and then C will be running. Okay, so you can give an example also. So instead of writing test A, test B, test C, we can have test A as login test, payment test, search test. So all these tests can be run together parallelly. Okay, so that is what about this. Also test ng can generate the reports. Okay, it can give details about test status, execution time, detail log. Okay, so that is what the test ng. So overall these are the advantages: highly flexible and customizable, support parallel execution, improve test organization, and also it gives you reports, how many tests pass, how many tests fail, what was the execution time, everything. So that is all about test ng framework. What is the full form of test ng? The full form of test ng is text next. I just missed the full form of it. Text ng framework. Test ng, it is text next generation. That is the full form, test ng. Okay, test next generation. Okay, moving to the next topic now. This is the last topic of the unit 3. Come on, it's getting slow. Parameterization, XML file, Java code. The next topic is page object model. What is page object model? Page object model means see, it is a design pattern in Selenium where each web page is separate class. So for example, as we just discussed here, login test. For login test, I can have a separate Java class file. For payment page, I can have a separate Java class file. Okay, so when we can do that. So that is what page object model, where each web page is represented as a separate class. Okay, so we can write the test logic separately. Okay, and UI element information separately. So whenever we want to change anything on the logic, okay, because it is already separated, there is no connection now. Okay, it is separately stored. That is what page object model. It is a design pattern in Selenium. Okay, and also all web elements and actions of that page are stored in that class. All right, So for each different pages, login page, payment page, we'll have separate classes, and in that particular separate classes, for example, in all the elements related to login page will be inside that class. All the web elements and actions related to that, let's suppose a product page will be inside a separate class. So that is what having the details of all different pages in separate classes. So that is what page object model. Okay, so without page object model, what could be the scenario? You can see that I'm passing the username and password separately and clicking it. Okay, username, password, I'm passing admin and 123 as password and clicking on this button. Okay, so we have to write this many code like this. So all locators and actions are written directly inside the test case. Okay, as we have seen that everything will write inside one page. All code will be written in that same page, right? All locators and actions are written this in the test case. Okay, you can see the locator information, and actions are, this is the action. Send key is an action is written in the same place. If tomorrow, if username is changed to user, suppose this is changed tomorrow, you must update it everywhere. Correct? So code becomes messy and hard to maintain. So that is what, if you write everything in the same page, if you want to change any locator information, then we have to go manually change it. It is very difficult. Okay, because all locators and actions are written directly in the test case. Okay, so how with page object model, what is the benefit? Okay, to understand this, see this code. So this is a page object model, which is what executed in this particular code. So how it is done, you see that. So this is the page class. This is the login page. So in the login page, I have three elements: username, password, and login button. Okay, all are web elements. Now for a username, I have a method. Okay, where I'm passing some information. In the password method, I'm passing some information, and then using click button, click login method, I'm clicking on that button. Okay, and then for login, what is that? All the username and password is coming here. Okay, and then enter username, you enter your password P. Okay, which are the methods which is getting invoked here? You enter username, enter password. Okay, it is getting entered there. Now use in test case. You can see that login page LP is, so I'm creating a particular object here, and using that object I'm calling the login method, and I'm passing the the important thing, username and password I'm passing here. So lp.login. So this particular, it is the calling function, and this is the called function, right? So inside this, admin will come here, password will come here. Okay, and then enter username and enter password. Methods will be called, enter username, password, username, admin will come here, and we will pass the send keys. Okay, and we'll pass for similarly for the password. Okay, what is the benefit here? This is the page object model, which is being used here. What is the benefit here? So see, suppose ID changes. If ID changes from username to user, so in this particular scenario, you can see that I don't have to make any changes here. Okay, I just have to change here. Okay, if I change here, okay, web element username to user, if I change it, automatically things will be taken care. Okay, so the logic is, so suppose ID changes, ID username to user, you update only in the login page class, not in every test. So suppose if all login page, product page, all informations are together, it would be a mess. But since I have a separate class for this login page, I have a separate class where all the web elements and all the actions, all the methods are written together. If I just change it here, things will be much sorted, right? So that is what the benefit about things. So it improves maintainability, centralized changes, reusability. Login method can be used multiple, in multiple test cases we can use it. It is clean test script. So instead of, if you remember earlier, instead of writing like this, passing individually, passing separately three things, you see that we were able to pass in single line, right? So that is what clean test script. Hope it is clear. Better organization. Each page has its own class, and large project becomes manageable. Okay, so that is what unit 3. Hope unit 3 everyone understood it. Okay, in the next video I'll go through unit 4. Okay.